So last year, I remember being on social media and seeing this clip that went viral. Just it kept trending to where this black girl was on the basketball court doing the "you can't see me," the Tony Yayo to this white girl on the basketball court, then pointing to her ring finger. She was winning a championship. This girl's name was none other than Angel Reese. And she was taunting her opponent in Caitlin Clark. Again, Angel Reese would go viral, trending, everybody talking about her. And you had the black community uplifting Angel Reese, and then you had the other side. You had the other side to where you had all these supposed grown folk calling Angel Reese a piece of feces, saying that she was an idiot, all these different things. Grown men, journalists, all because this girl, a competitor, a basketball player on a basketball court, was trash talking things that we see every day. And it was a constant reminder that when it comes to black folk, and especially black women, they are not respected and they are devalued 24/7. It is apparent. But from that day that Angel Reese and LSU beat Caitlin Clark in Iowa for the NCAA Women's Championship in college, both women skyrocketed to stardom. Both women became celebrities. One for the black community, one for the white community. And both truly put women's basketball, women's college basketball on their back, and were the faces, really, of college basketball as a whole. Because even if you ask me today to name a men's college basketball player, gun to my head, I'm dead. But this is what sports is about. It's about rivalries. It's about trash talking. It's about confidence. It's about passion. It's about taunting. It's about all that. The all-time greats in sports, from Muhammad Ali to Deion Sanders to Floyd Mayweather to LeBron James. But Angel Reese will go on to become a polarizing figure that got a lot of love and a lot of hate. And she was winning by being unapologetically her, being unapologetically black, being authentic with the baby hairs and the weave and the long lashes, the leg sleeve. She was authentically her. It was a role model for all black girls all around the world. That is a constant reminder, don't let nobody move you off your square. Be you. By the way, she's all of 2021, barely legal, by the way. But she stood on her square, stood on business. Even though the media and certain portions of the fandom would do everything in their power to tarnish Angel Reese's name, calling her ghetto, unprofessional. You know, what they always do when it comes to black athletes, when they're not acting a certain way, depending on how they look or who they are. It reminded me so much of Sha'Carri Richardson just a couple years ago during the Olympics when she won a gold medal for track, and how she was talked down on because of how she looked with the long fingernails and the hair and her dialect. And Sha'Carri was like, no, I'ma be me. I'ma stay me. Ain't be mad. But this is a constant fight that black women have to go through on a day-to-day, not only in sports, but outside of sports. And even black people as a whole have to go through a constant fight to being told how to talk, how to walk, what your hair should be, what to wear, what's professional, what's not professional. A struggle just to be us. A struggle just to be authentically yourself in a society that throughout history has tried to strip you of your history, strip you of your culture, strip you of self. But what got people really mad during the whole storm of Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark is that the first lady, after LSU won, Jill Biden, had the unmitigated gall, the nerve, to say, you know what, there's too much turmoil going on. Why don't we both invite the winner and the runner-up to the White House this year? What? What do you mean? What do you mean? Since when do we do that? Since when do we invite the loser to the White House? In the words of Cat Williams,
you having an unnatural allegiance to losers is not like you.
What do you mean? What you talking about? And this really got the black community hot, because it's like, why we always gotta share? Why we always gotta share our spotlight with others? Because you want to give participation awards. Let us have our moment. Let us have our shine. Why are we inviting Iowa and Caitlin Clark to the White House when they're the losers? Because if it was reversed, I bet you LSU was going to get invited. And Angel Reese, standing on business like she always does, said, no, that's a joke. No, we're not going.
If we were to lose, we would not be getting invited to the White House. You can't go back on certain things that you say. I mean, you felt like they should have came because of sportsmanship, right? They can have that spot. Like, we'll go to the Obamas. We'll see Michelle. We'll see Barack.
Angel Reese says, nah, Rosa Parks, nah, we're not going. And again, Angel Reese became more of a household name and more of a celebrity and superstar within the black community because of how she moved. Because she was not allowing people to do whatever, say whatever. She wasn't going to go along to get along. And we love that about her. We love that for her. So over the next year, Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark will continue to make headlines as both will become the faces of women's college basketball leading up to the Final Four tournament, to where Angel Reese and LSU and Caitlin Clark and Iowa would see each other again in an epic rematch to see who will go on to the Final Four and possibly go on to the college women's basketball championship game. And it is there that Caitlin Clark would defeat Angel Reese, and Iowa would advance past LSU to get their revenge from the previous year in the championship game. And now, everybody that was on Caitlin Clark's side was so elated, so happy, and you know what? Good for Caitlin Clark. But then, Angel Reese would go viral again, but this time for a different reason. Not for taunting, not for winning, but for being vulnerable and saying how she truly felt. As she cried at that post-game press conference, as she probably played her last college basketball game. And she was real about how she truly felt, gave her true emotions about getting death threats, about fighting so much throughout everything the past year, about being sexualized within the media and on the internet. And you know what happened? You know what happened? She got vilified again. So instead of her being cocky and braggadocious, she was authentic. She cried, and in her most vulnerable state, she got vilified again, as these same news reporters, media analysts, and fans will say, hey, you're supposed to be the villain, right? You're supposed to be the villain. You're supposed to take it on the chin. Completely devaluing what she was saying, talking about death threats, talking about being sexualized. We ain't talking about the game. We ain't talking about on the basketball court her being bullied. We're not talking about her getting bad calls by refs. She's talking about getting death threats and talking about being sexualized. And almost every media outlet, every basketball sports analyst on TV had the nerve to say, you signed up for this. This is what you asked for. Don't dish it out if you can't take it. What? Giving these false narratives that had nothing to do about the game. Not one of these people stood up, spoke up about, it's wrong that you're being sexualized on social media. It's wrong that you're getting death threats. That ain't cool. All these people had the nerve to be like, well, that's part of the game. It's messed up, but it's part of the game. You gotta take the good with the bad. Like, what? She's still only, 21? And again, it's a constant reminder that black women are the least protected and the least valued. Exactly what Malcolm X said over 50 years ago. Like, it broke my heart to see how mistreated Angel Reese was in that moment. Because even at our most vulnerable, you can't give her grace. You can't give her mercy. Not that she owed you anything. Not that you owe her grace. Like, you can't give her any type of empathy. You still on the attack, even in a loss? Saying that she played the villain role, sustained the villain role? Who made her the villain? The villain of what? Because she had a nerve to have fun on the basketball court? Trash talk and taunt like Caitlin Clark was also doing? And Caitlin Clark, who had nothing bad to say about Angel Reese, who had nothing bad to say about Caitlin Clark, because they both understand the game. Both play at a high elite level. It's just part of the game. Trash talking is part of the game. It's all a mental thing. Both of them ladies understood that, but the media and fans took it a different way. It was disgusting. It was dusty. Like, it was shameful how the media was trying to portray Angel Reese in that moment and not showing any type of empathy in that moment. That was nasty. And then what makes things worse is during this time, not only during the tournament, but throughout the entire season, everybody was trying to paint the narrative. Is Caitlin Clark the GOAT? Is she quite possibly the greatest ever? And last time that I checked, R.I.P. Nipsey Hussle, you had to win first. You had to win first. Caitlin Clark, who ain't won nothing, is being in the same conversation as the GOATs of women basketball. When we have been having the same discourse in barbershops, on stoops, at barbecues, everywhere, bars, everywhere, we've been having the same discourse for the past 20 years of who is better, Michael or LeBron, and the only way we decide the metric of who's better is by talking about rings. All the media has done is talk about, I don't care that LeBron broke this record, broke that record. He lost in the finals. He don't have as many rings as Jordan. That's been the whole metric of what people go by in sports over the past 20 years. And now we care about records? Now we care about stats? When the only stat people cared about was the winning column and the rings column? But now we want to uplift Caitlin Clark as possibly being the GOAT? I'm sorry, baby. You gotta win first. I'm sorry. That's disrespectful to every other women's basketball player in college that had the stats and won. But that lets you know two things. One, a lot of these analysts on TV don't know what they're talking about. Probably ain't watched no college basketball outside of highlights when it came to the women. And also, they're always going to be the exception to the rule when you're white and great in a sport. that's dominated by black people, as soon as you are above average, they're gonna try to make you the greatest ever. They do the same thing with Luka, Joker, and NBA. But the thing is, the Joker just won a championship. He could talk his mess. He got MVPs and a championship ring. He could talk his talk, but it's sad. It's sad. And you know what happened? After all that talk of Caitlin Clark possibly being the GOAT, all that talk of Caitlin Clark being the greatest of all time, you know what happened? History repeated itself, and Caitlin Clark lost again, and Iowa lost again in the championship game. Again, shout out to Dawn Staley, one of the GOATs. And Dawn Staley is the prime example of what class is, of what a standard is in greatness, because she lifted up Angel Reese, she lifted up Caitlin Clark, and talked up Caitlin Clark, even in a loss, about how great Caitlin Clark is for the sport, how great she is for women's basketball. And went undefeated, by the way. Her team, with a whole new starting five, went undefeated throughout their season. You know how difficult it is to, first of all, go undefeated, but then go undefeated with a whole new starting five? Do you know how challenging that is? And I didn't even know that till after the championship game was over. That wasn't even talked about at all. Because while all we cared about is Angel Reese, but mostly all we cared about is Caitlin Clark. So that's all the spotlight we're gonna put on women's basketball when it came to mainstream sports. Now, this might come off as me hating on Caitlin Clark. I'm gonna be straight up with you. When it comes to Caitlin Clark, what I think of her.
What do I think of her?
Yes.
I don't think of her. I don't think of her.
I don't think of her. I think she's great for the sport. I do not like her. I do not love her. I think I'm indifferent to her. But I do think she is great for women's basketball. And I think it would be dope for her and Angel Reese to go into the draft, go to the WNBA, and uplift that league that needs it, and make it the new Magic versus Bird. Make it that. I think it could truly bring life back into WNBA. I truly do. Angel Reese is just a prime example of how black folk get vilified for being themselves. In all sides of society, whether it's at school with black kids being forced to cut their hair, whether it's at jobs being forced to have a certain dialect and use our what we call interview white people voice so that we don't scare away the potential job that we want, a promotion that we want. Always trying to change who we are to fit in to a society that keeps telling us we don't matter, or keep telling us that we have to change who we are. Because being black and being proud, that's too much. It's too strange. It's not enough. We don't value that. But no, we all gotta be on our Angel Reese. We all gotta be unapologetically us. How we talk, how we walk, how we look, how we feel. Because black is beautiful, baby. I don't care who you are, what you are, where you are. I will never allow anybody to tell me who I am.